Hey guys, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to the podcast once again. And hope everybody, for those in the LA area, hope you're enjoying the rain because we've been getting a lot of that as of late. For the most part, at least we won't have to worry about any droughts or anything. I don't know, knock on wood, but today, we're gonna be chatting with Miss Rozie Curtis. You might have seen her, might have heard her name in a lot of ADV films, like anime titles, and etc. etc. So, um, I'm not gonna sit here for like 2, 3 minutes just listing off every single credit she's done. But we're just going to chat about for a little bit about her extensive career. So, Miss Rosie, the floor is yours.
Hey, so nice to be here officially. I'm looking forward to it.
Of course.
Yay.
Yeah, let's see. I guess what I usually do is let's do a little bit of an icebreaker,
Okay.
um, just tell, just say what. I usually do. I do my research, but for those that don't, that may not be familiar, like what shows have you worked on and what, you know.
Yeah. Let me see. I started a long time ago, I guess. So my first was Those Who Hunt Elves, and then I did Generator Gall, and then I did as I assume you wanted anime stuff, is that correct? Or
Well, anime and just, your long, prolific work.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me reverse. So I started in theater. So I got a degree in theater and I do a lot of stage work. And I've done a lot of musicals. If your fans are interested in musicals, I definitely have the
Oh,
music.
very much so.
And then crossed over and did lots of film work, feature films. And then I was actually directing a show, a musical, when I got called for my first anime audition. And then I've done lots and lots of anime. That's been a blessing. And so now I just continue to work in the theater, and I also teach theater. So I'm working at a high school for performing and visual arts and doing a lot of directing there and choreography, and private coaching, you name it. I think I've done almost everything.
Yeah, so theater is pretty much where you got your start. Has acting always, I think done this yesterday where I talked to somebody else, but did acting find you, or did you have like other aspirations or other career
Oh, that's
like
a great
paths that you wanted
question. I
that you were
started,
you plan to pursue? Yeah.
yeah, I started in dance. So I was always dancing. And so I danced a lot in high school. And then my friends thought I was kind of funny. And so they told me to take an acting class. And I was nervous, but I took my first acting class in high school. And that's when I definitely fell in love with acting and said, this is what I want to do, and decided to major in theater after I got bit by the acting bug. There wasn't anything else I ever wanted to do. I never wanted to pursue anything other than the arts industry and being in the arts in some capacity. So I never wanted to be a doctor or anything else like that.
Yeah, so I know that in the Houston area, I know that it's a large community when it comes to local theater, and also for music as well, from what I've started to notice, because for a lot of actors that came from Houston, they got their little background in theater, and then somehow they actually got the call to start doing anime dubs and doing work for, like I said, ADV, Funimation, and so on and so forth. So what were some of the shows that you've done, like for theater, like any particular fond memories of?
Oh,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah, and
Um,
what did you get the most? What was the biggest thing that you got out of it?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first off, Houston is the fourth largest city and the fourth largest city in theater seats. So there's definitely tons of theater in Houston, and you got it exactly right. It was great that ADV was right there in the Houston area, and we they were always looking for actors. So a lot of the stage actors got calls from ADV to try out voiceover work and anime. And so we definitely were complementing each other as far as stage actors doing a lot of voiceover work. So that was very exciting for us to do that. The I was directing a show called Swing Time Canteen. As far as how I got my start in anime, I think it's kind of funny because everybody says, "How do you become an anime actor or a voiceover actor?" And I never know the exact answer. What happened to me is I was directing a musical, and there's an incredible actress in it, Jessica Cavallo, and she's a huge star in anime, as I saw from your reaction. And she was doing an anime, and they needed another part, and so she said, "Hey, you have a kind of unique voice. I think you'd be great in anime." And at that point, I hadn't even heard of it, and so I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." So my actual audition was a phone call. So the then director of Those Who Hunt Elves called and talked to me on the phone, and he said, "Yeah, I guess you do have kind of a unique voice." And so then he brought me in for an audition that way. And that's how I got into the anime world. So other than that, I have no idea how to really break into it, other than it was just a happy circumstance that I was doing a show with Jessica, and that's how I found out about that. As far as roles that I have loved, oh man, I love a lot of them. Musical wise, one of my favorite roles was Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. So that was a lot of fun. And I did a really fun role for a long time in a play called Catholic Schoolgirls. And we helped open one of the theaters here in Houston. Um, I've directed a lot of musicals. I got to work with Disney, as a matter of fact, when they were premiering The Lion King Jr. And that was a huge honor because I got to work with all the big Disney executives and making sure that we presented Lion King Jr. in the right way, and we premiered it in Atlanta. And the original cast members of Lion King came down to see our production. So our Rafiki got to meet the original Rafiki from Lion King, and our Simba got to meet the original Simba and things like that. So that was a really cool production to be a part of. That kind of sort of nutshells some of the cool things I've been a part of.
It's really cool. Um, I know that being a musical Disney like fanatic, I am just absolutely ecstatic whenever I hear like, oh yeah, the original cast actually got to meet like, um, this play that you were doing on The Lion King, and you got to meet the Disney execs. So that is like super cool. Oh my gosh.
It was very exciting, and they were so generous. And we premiered it at a festival called the Junior Theater Festival in Atlanta. So our premiere, we presented it. I think there were close to 6,000 people in the audience. So just to hear them all scream and see the production was really amazing. I also got to work with Disney. There was a dual language Aladdin, so they did Spanish and English. And so I got to direct the Southwest premiere of that. And that was really cool because we were in communication with them saying, "Hey, how should we do this or how should we do that?" And they took a lot of our ideas and said, "Oh, what did you think when you worked on this part?" So that was really cool. The concept of that is that Jasmine and her side only spoke Spanish, and then Aladdin could only speak in English, and Jafar was the one that was dual language. So that's how he had his power because he could communicate in both worlds. So it was kind of a fun version of Aladdin to work on.
So going into your anime stuff, you
Yeah.
said that, um, so was the first anime role that you've done was Those Who Hunt Elves, or was it something else? Just
It
to keep track.
actually, it was that one. That was my very first role ever was Those Who Want Elves. And I got to do that with Jessica and it was so much fun. And it was great to learn that style of acting where you only have your voice to try and create this roles. So that was a really interesting and fun experience to to make that happen. The way it's set up is, you'll have the anime on the screen, and in the olden times, you would have the script there, an actual hard copy of the script. So I was looking down, looking up, that sort of thing, trying to time it all together. But now it's so much easier now. But and because I was a stage actress, I still would move in the booth, so I would still physically create that role just so my voice could match that intention. So I was like, well, I still have to move to make this happen. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Those Who Hunt Elves was my very first one. And then I think Generator Gall might have been my second one, maybe. Um, or maybe it was the compiler. I'm trying to remember which one was my second one, but you always remember your first one. And then the first one was kind of cool because it was one director, Tristan McAvery, and then Stephen Foster came in. And so Stephen directed the next set, Those Who Hunt Elves Part Two. And a lot of my anime work was with Stephen as the director.
Yeah, so going back to the Those Who Hunt Elves, that is an interesting one because I actually like, um, because, it's the 90s and I've kind of been on like, a little itch, like kind of like anime binge something something as
Yeah.
like lately where like mainly to just do like because I'm doing like video essays that I'm gonna start doing in the future. So just talking about like, the history of like, I don't know, TV or animation and stuff. That's kind of something that I'm gonna start doing. And when you look at a dub from like the 90s and when you um jump to like what we were doing like 10 years, 20 years later, it's like there's um yeah, it's really evolved in such a way that it's like um it's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of hard to like, put it into words. So, I mean, I know when you first started out and seeing as how anime had really started. Oh, and this was also during the time that like we had this large boom in the United States with anime like, Dragon
It was
Ball, Pokemon, and so on and
it
so
was
forth.
crazy. Yeah.
It was just a crazy time. So like I think when you first started out, it was kind of like it was such a pivotal time for the anime community. So, looking back at your first role, I know that it must have been like, a unique experience to be in the industry during a huge, like, a monumental, like, shit. It's like there's a huge, like, it's this momentum that was just starting to take off. So, like, going back to your first role and looking at where it is now, like, I don't know. How do you feel? Like, did you expect it to like really take off? Like, to really just explode the way it did? Like, when you first started in like VO or just when you first got your start in anime?
I actually I had no idea and I didn't even realize what I was a part of. I just knew at first I just thought, oh, this is fun. What a cool new style of acting to learn. And when you're recording it, you're not thinking anything, you're just focusing on the character. And that's what's kind of fun and cool about anime and movies. You're just in it and you're creating that character and you have no concept what you're a part of. And it's not until it was released and I started getting messages from people that I didn't know. And I thought, wait, what's going on? What really is this? And then that's when I realized, oh, this is a huge, this is really a huge thing that I'm a part of. And I would get, just wonderful messages from fans that had watched it and they liked this, or just people I didn't even know reaching out to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is more than just I'm doing a role. This is really reaching all over the world. And it's funny you said you're on a 90s kick because I just got a message, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months ago from someone in London that said they went back and they're watching their 90s and early 2000 dubs and reached out to me about a couple of things. But it was overwhelming. It was just crazy, and we will be coming in and recording so many shows in just back to back to back. Some of them just went so fast, whereas like, oh gosh, I don't even remember doing that one because the boon was just crazy. There were so many that we were asked to be a part of. So that was really cool, but you never know about it until after it's released, and then you think, oh wow, this is amazing. And wait, there's conventions and there's fans all over the world, and so that's very exciting. It was great to be a part of it, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. I love it.
Oh, totally. So like when you're in the booth for the very first time, when you were recording Elves, like did you have like some memorable experiences, like funny outtakes or bloopers or just anything in particular that, I mean, besides, playing Ritsuko, was there anything else that you remember, like working on that show with Jessica and, all these other actors?
Yeah, well, first off, I was terrified my first time in the booth because you're just by yourself, and I was used to ensemble acting, so I figured Jessica would be there. I
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
all the people would be there, and we would just be talking, and they're saying, "Oh no, not at all." And sometimes I was the first one to record, so all the other dialogue I was hearing was in Japanese, and so I was like, oh, wait, that's my cue to say my line. So that was a little tricky to get used to. I did have different experiences because I am a theater kid. Uh, we have a thing called projection, so we are used to speaking quite loudly, and a lot of times I would be louder than necessary, so they would go, "Whoa, back off." So sometimes I would be so far away from the microphone because Ritsuko, she screams a lot and she's quite intense. So I would have to really back off far from the microphone. I did have a funny thing in Generator Gall. It starts with that character brushing her teeth, and I was like, how? And then she gargles, and I thought, how am I going to get that sound? And so Steven just gave me a cup of water. He goes, well, actually do it. So I'm actually gargling water for that particular scene and then spitting it into a cup. So there were crazy things like that. Most of the time, my biggest challenges, believe it or not, were when you'd have to say just one word, or what we call a foley, which is a reaction where you're or gasp or something like that. And those are the ones that would always trip me up because it's just one word, and they go, no, you need to say what, as if you're thinking about this particular scene. And so in that one word, you had to have so much character subtext. So it's not just going, what, it's like, well, what? Or if it was a two-lip flap, you need to make one word look as if it's what, and that type of thing. So it was learning those different techniques. But anytime I would see the script and there was just this one word or Foley, I would I would have to psychologically prepare myself like, okay, how do I make this one word really come to life? So that was always the challenge. But I did learn, I mean, I was never with anybody in the booth. You're just always called in by yourself, so you really have to learn how to act with those other people there. So that's a big challenge with anime, especially if you're used to give and take in scenes with the other actor actually being there.
Oh yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned projection because I also was talking with somebody with another voice actor about having a because when you're from theater, because I mean all of us, like we all have the tendency of being a lot louder than we usually are.
Right.
I know that like when you first get your start, like being in a booth where you're like, okay, so I'm just gonna talk really loudly like this so that everybody from like way in the back row can hear me. Rah! You know, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
so it's like talking really loudly for no reason whatsoever. Really
Right.
loudly for I
Right.
don't know. And then it's
Because
like,
that's
no,
just
no,
what
no,
we
you
do.
gotta, because it's
Yeah.
like, that's what we usually do. And then it's like, oh, no, 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 you gotta pull it back. I'm like, wait, I gotta pull myself. Because I've been told this too. Because, like, usually if you're doing a line, because it's, I mean, it's a character that is like, they're really energetic, they're bouncy. And
Right.
then, so your instinct, I think for us, we have the instinct of going like really big and be theatrical and bombastic, and then you have to
Yes.
tone it down. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it always feels weird to me, but I feel like it's better to be told to pull it back than having to go like, having to direct an actor and have them go bigger. And that's kind of
I
how yeah.
I so agree because it was so easy to adjust. They go, "Oh no, Rosie, pull that back. You're popping," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So it was really easy for me to find the correct distance with the mic, make my adjustments and that sort of thing, as opposed to just being so quiet and then they're, having to pump you up. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my theater training because of that for sure. But it did help me cross into film, just learning anime and voiceover techniques and that different style of acting also helped just for, doing film roles because you do have to tone it down. I hate to say tone it down, but you don't have to go full gigantic volume for your theater on film. So I was definitely grateful for that. But yeah, I am a theater kid for sure.
Oh man. Yep, all for the diaphragm. So,
Right.
right. Let me see. I usually joke. I mean, there's kind of this running in joke where, like, yeah, after we do a show, we go out and eat at IHOP or Denny's or whatever. That's
Yeah.
kind of like a running in joke that I would. I mean, to be fair, that's habit. I mean, we all go out and eat after a play, so
Oh, I
that's
think
kind of how
that
it was for. Yeah,
that's the tradition to, and maybe it's just because IHOP is the only place that tends to stay open, but everybody is going to
yeah.
go to IHOP after a show, definitely in high school, where those are the places that are open.
Also, everybody. I mean, I guess we all really love eating pancakes for some reason.
It could be that. It could be that. In Texas, we have a Whataburger now, so we'll head to the Whataburger and get that after a show.
There you go. So yeah, let me see. I think the latest roles that you've done, I think it was Girls on Panzer, I think.
Yeah, yeah, Girls in Panzer. That was a fun one. And then yeah, they made it into a movie and everything like that. So that was kind of a kooky, crazy role, um, doing weird dances and it's just a bunch of girls driving around in tanks and having competitions in a school. So it was a fun concept and I really enjoyed that one for sure. For sure. But
Yeah.
like I said, they were coming kind of fast. So it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I did that one. And the ones that I have the best memory are the ones where I was in the booth for a longer amount of time and there were several episodes where you could see that character arc going for your character. Your character arc for your character. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I do have an interesting questions, and I usually ask this to the theater kids.
Okay.
So how are you able to, because with the training that you had in theater and dancing, how are you able to like carry over those skills when you started doing VO? I know it's
Yeah,
different for everyone, but yeah,
definitely. Well, I will say with theater, what really helped with VO is the diction and the pronunciation and being able to get words out. So just all the exercises you learn in theater with your tongue twisters and everything like that. Because sometimes there would be just gigantic paragraphs, mouthfuls of words. So that training definitely helped me. The physicality, I still really move around quite a bit in the booth. So that
It's important, by the
theaters,
way.
yeah,
The
theaters
physicality. Yeah.
theater's definitely acting from head to toe. And so just that training has helped. And then also in theater, you have to be very consistent because you're doing the same show for many, many nights a week and sometimes two times on Saturday, two times on Sunday. So to be able to create a character quickly and consistently, we also in anime, it sometimes it is what we call cold readings. So I very rarely ever got to see the script ahead of time and literally looking at it one time and then having to make a decision quickly and instantly on how to give that line reading. That that helped me with all my improv training. So in theater, we definitely have lots of improv training where you're creating stuff on the spot and making quick decisions because I mean, when I say it's a cold reading, it is ice cold. They'll go, here, Rosie, here's the script, and go. And sometimes they wouldn't even let you have a practice take because it was for a little while towards the end, it kind of became time is money and let me crank these out. And so you had to make sure that you could look at that script and make a strong choice immediately on your character. And that's all theater training, that improv, going with your gut, reading quickly, diction. I wouldn't have not been successful if I didn't have that training for sure I wouldn't have been successful in my voiceover work.
Totally. And how about your experience working with Sentai? You know, Sentai Filmworks.
Yeah, so I did girl when it transitioned. So it was just a lot of fun. I gotta say, every Houston actor thinks that getting a voiceover role is the creme de la creme role. I mean, the acting role, because you just get to go in there, you get to create. Um, and so it's always a pleasant experience and it feels like family when you go in there. Everybody knows about, they know you, there's asking how you're doing. And then you get to go in for an hour or 4 hours, depending on the role, and just be completely silly and trust that those editors and directors are going to make you look amazing or make you sound amazing because the anime already looks amazing. But it was a family, definitely, just going in there and knowing all the directors and knowing everybody who's booking you and that kind of thing. So it was always a lot of fun to do that for sure.
Oh yeah. So you're I know with the pandemic and everything, it's kind of like I wouldn't want to say that it completely changed. Like, I mean, there's been a lot of changes. Like everybody, like I know since you've been doing anime, I know how you're really familiar of doing it remotely and whatnot, like recording one at a time. So, I do wanted to ask, like, how is the pandemic, like, did it like affect like your working like lifestyle? Like, how did it change
I yeah.
your
I
workload
think
and stuff?
it affected everything, everybody in every way. Um, so over the pandemic, I didn't do anime work. I did voiceover work for more corporate. So in a way that was kind of easy because it was just me recording. But one thing it did affect is everybody then turned their homes into studios, so now everybody has correct mics, the correct lighting equipment. And so the whole conversion of now my home is my office for what, 2 years or well, at least for sure a year, that definitely affected how we created. But it was, I think it was definitely a hard time. Nobody was really doing anything, definitely for a while. And it it made it it made it a little easier because you could always do it from home. The challenging part was making sure you had all the right equipment, it sounded good, you looked right, et cetera, et cetera. So once all the actors got that under control, then we were good, and then we're learning. Well, I had already know how to edit, but now, I was able to perfect editing skills and be a little bit more creative in our home office. Does that kind of
Totally.
answer?
Sure. Yeah, because I know that I would get different answers of like, oh yeah, like I miss everyone. I really miss being in the studio and, seeing everybody like ensemble. Um, and I had to make it all from scratch, like be my own engineer, and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of different stories that I would
yeah.
from different guests that I've had on the show, really. Like everyone is, like I said, like the pandemic has affected everybody in a way, like different, like some good, some bad, but more or less we're still kicking. That's just
Yeah,
all I gotta
I
say.
I think actors are definitely more social beings,
Yeah,
and I know for me, I really like to collaborate. So it's more
yeah,
exciting for me to be with people and get the creative energies going. So in that part, the pandemic pandemic was more challenging just because you couldn't be with people. But then actors are also creative geniuses, so you always find a way to get with people and how can we work together even remotely. But yeah, you definitely miss seeing people and working with people on that in that one-on-one type of creative mode for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, you definitely have to become your own engineer, your own lighting person, your own sound person. um, so lots of new skills to learn by everybody.
yeah. So how's it going with Theater Under the Stars and Crosswind Productions?
Oh, what a great question. So, I am still at Theater Under the Stars. I work mostly with one part of Theater Under the Stars. My majority of work is with a location called The River, and that is their wing that teaches students with disabilities. So, every Saturday and all summer long, I am teaching musical theater to students with disabilities, and that's just my heart. And we actually just had a show Saturday where they did kind of a little mini salute to Willy Wonka. And I've been working with them forever. And so I love that. And then for Theater Under the Stars, I don't work for them full time anymore, but I'll come in and help them with galas and things like that, more guest uh guest directing appearances with Theater Under the Stars, and that's a lot of fun. And now I'm full-time teaching at a school, which is the high school for performing and visual arts in Houston. So that's where I'm spending most of my time during the day is there. But I'm still very connected to Theater and the Stars, working with students at the River. And then Crosswind Productions, uh, that was a blast. Gosh, I think I did maybe eight or nine films with Crosswind, and I was on the board. And then the wonderful woman who founded Crosswind, Barbara Sundstrom, she decided to retire. So she sold Crosswind to a company in Colorado. So I'm not working with Crosswind anymore because it's now in Colorado. But that was a great time of my life, and I got to write with Crosswind and act with Crosswind and direct and really fine tune my film skills with Crosswind. So that's amazing. And I still have a great relationship with Barbara. We actually just shot a sizzle reel for a film that she has coming up. I think we shot it maybe in August, so that should be coming out soon. So now she's working on more individual product projects, and I'm working on those with her. So
Yeah.
yeah, crazy
So
life.
that so that's pretty much what you're working on right now and probably for the foreseeable future.
Right, right. Definitely.
Yeah. Any last bit of advice or any last words that you would like to conclude?
I
Yeah,
watched the Oscars not last night, but
the
Sunday.
other night, yeah.
Yeah. And I was so inspired by Michelle Yeoh, and they always say don't give up on your dreams and hold on to them. So that is my advice. If you see that this is what you want to do, this is what you want to be a part of, then you need to not let go of that dream. And this sounds bad, but I always tell my students there is no plan B. It's just plan A. And if plan A is you want to do theater or you want to do anime or you want to be in this industry, then just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And then maybe you'll win your Oscar when you're 60 years old or 64 like Jamie Lee Curtis did. But you just have to keep doing it and then clearly define what you consider success is. If if you only want to do this because you want to be a super famous person, then I say don't do that. But what is your definition of success? If your definition of success is constantly working in the industry, then you can be successful. And, I always tell people I've always worked. I graduated from college and hit the ground running, and I've always worked in this industry, whether it was acting or directing or choreographing or makeup or scene design or set design or whatever I could do, because I always wanted to be in the arts industry. And so that's my advice. Broaden your scope. Don't just focus on acting, focus on everything. Clearly define what success is and know that there is no plan B. There's only plan A, and that is to succeed. Yeah.
And where can people find you on? And any last words?
I am on Instagram more than anything else, and I think I'm just on as at Roseanne Curtis. And my words of advice is, be kind to each other and let's spread a little more love in this world because getting kind of ugly. So let's continue to spread the love and make this world a better place.
Right on. Well, Rosie, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, anytime. So this shall be going up sometime later today or later this week. You can find this on YouTube and SoundCloud and everywhere else that I usually post these on. And until next time, stay safe, stay positive, stay healthy, and this is Robert Jackson signing out.
Thank you,
Peace.
Robert.
Thanks.